I didn't know about the story. I didn't know who Gloria Grahame was. I certainly didn't know who Peter Turner was either. And upon reading the script, I almost couldn't believe it. I thought it was kind of one of the most surreal kind of stories I'd ever heard of. And then it was only until I read Peter Turner's memoir, on which the film's based, that suddenly all the truth of it came to the surface, and suddenly all those people in that terraced house and those people just it has so much more relevance because it was from this man's direct point of view. And it's a beautiful memoir. He said it just kind of poured out of him when once Gloria had passed. But it was just a really unexpected love story. And he absolutely adored this woman. She was the most important person in his life, and until this day. In some ways, he is still her guardian, even though she's moved on. And I just loved how unconventional it was. I loved the journey that they went on. And it's a universal love story. It's a story where you meet someone, you fall in love, and inevitably you have to say goodbye. Inevitably, that person leaves. And I just thought that was really beautifully told. Obviously, you have the kind of well of knowledge that is Peter Turner, who was there and lived this life. So he was invaluable to us. I sat him down for many, many hours and just asked him question after question after question. Did this really happen? You know, we also me and Annette did a great amount of work on the script before we even started, just trying to track the trajectory of the relationship. I think we knew very early that if this didn't work between us, the kind of movie doesn't really work. So we charted it as best we could, and we tried to push scenes further than they were, and that involved Peter, because I said I want to really, be mad at her in this apartment building. I want to really get into a fight with this brother character and really have some turmoil. And is that okay with you? So, where usually you don't really have to consider those things because they're just kind of dramatic buttons that you can push and dial up or dial down when it's not a real person. But we all fell in love with Peter Turner. Barbara Broccoli, who produced this film, knew Peter and Gloria personally while they were dating. So this is incredibly personal for her. This has been in the making for 22 years. So we all had this responsibility of telling the story as truthfully and honestly as we could. And then the most gracious thing that Peter Turner did is back away and entrusted us to be the kind of authors of his story in a way. Yeah, I mean, it differs on a job-to-job basis. It really depends on who you're working with. Majority of my experiences have worked with people who are incredibly open, incredibly collaborative. They know that what they have in the material can always be better. And I'm a firm believer in that. I think that whenever you get something, if you work hard on it and you invest a little bit more, that usually you get more out of it. So that, for me, it's also kind of, as I go on and make more films and get more experienced, I always just begin with the script and just start kind of killing it. Just hacking away and trying to change things and move things around. But it becomes very aware very quickly if the people that you're working with are open to that stuff or not open to it. Luckily, Paul and Matt, the writer, were very open to it. I think the script really needed it because this is a real relationship, and I think especially what Annette brought to it was very important. And it was collaborative. We didn't really rehearse very much. We didn't rehearse things on its feet, but we just kind of sat and did this and questioned this and that, and a lot of good stuff and good ideas came from that, so it was very useful for us. What I've learned in 17 years or whatever of working, and there's no guarantee in acting. Just because you made something that people liked 17 years ago doesn't necessarily mean that you get to do this forever. There's no free pass, there's no free ticket. And that you should take each job as it comes and consider it as your last, because you never know. But I've been very fortunate. I've been very lucky to get to work with really good people who I've learned from and pulled from and stole from and listened to and everything else. So I do feel kind of very grateful to be still here and still doing it and still working. And I'm very proud of this film. Usually I can't stand to really watch myself at all. And Barbara Broccoli, with practically a gun to my head, said you have to watch this. And as tough as it was, I liked this one, which is a really big deal for me to say because I never like anything, I never watch anything, but I'm very proud of this. I think when you work with people who are extremely talented, really across the whole gamut, you know, Barbara brought all of her great crew to this. We had a great DP. Annette speaks for herself, but then to have Julie Walters, who I love, and I made my first film with, so it's extremely special for me to be reunited with her. Vanessa Redgrave is in it, who needs no introduction. Stephen Graham, who I adore, he's one of my favourite actors. Ken Crenham is in the film. Just a great ensemble. It just makes your job genuinely so much easier. You don't really worry about the scene. I think I always struggle with an element of control as an actor. I think I want too much control than I should really actually have, because it's not my job to control everything. But when you walk into a scene, you've got Julie, Annette, Stephen, Ken. You don't really worry about anything. You know, so much about movies is the director. Is what you learn. Is the role can be amazing, but if you don't have the guy who's going to piece it all together in the way that is correct, then you're in trouble. I think what Paul McGuigan brought to this was really special. He really elevated the material and gave it a visual language, dealing with dreams and memories, and how memories really can't be trusted because it's only from your perspective and it's not the entire story. And a lot of this film takes place in different time periods and the way we kind of transition from one to the other. It's kind of crucial to telling the story in a cinematic way, and I appreciated what he did with that. So as much as the role is important and you connect into it personally and it kind of resonates with you on some human level, and you think other people will have an experience with it, that whoever's going to tell that story is also just kind of as important. So the combination of those two things. In general, you know, I was very influenced by people like Gene Kelly as a kid because I was a dancer and I just loved those kinds of movies. I loved James Dean when I was a kid. Now I really appreciate longevity more than ever. I just love people who have been like, oh my God, you've been doing this forever. Yeah, I was in a Telluride Film Festival and Christian Bale was there, and there was a retrospective of Christian's work, and when you see him from Empire of the Sun to Psycho to these other great roles that he's doing, that's real longevity and that's real craft. And people like that, Gary Oldman was there, I talked to Gary Oldman a lot. People like that I have a lot of respect for, and they're very inspirational for me. You know, for me what was really important early on, and I only know this now with, you know, 17 years or whatever to look back on, is to surround yourself with people who care about you as an individual more than an opportunity. And of course I would never have known that at 14, 15 years old or whatever it was. But the people that I have been there since that time. I've the same people for like 17 years or something. And they were like, we want to give you a career versus we you know, who knows what's going to happen to you. We want to put you in a bunch of this or that. And that has been massively important. What that has helped me do is learn about movies, learn about good directors, because I knew nothing starting out, and I really needed to be educated from ground level up. And I did get that education. They were like, you know, you should watch some Terrence Malick films, or, you know, you should, you know, Dogma Manifesto, like get into that stuff. And I did, and I've been fortunate enough to work with some of those people now. But without that kind of education in movies and taste and good directors and auteurs, I don't think I would have appreciated movies in the same way. I think there's also, you have to be your own self. Julie Walters says a line to me in Billy Elliot, which I literally carry around as my own kind of motto, which is, she says, always be yourself. I genuinely think that's so crucial, because I think the industry kind of wants to kind of conform you in some way to something which might not be who you actually are. I'm a working class kid from the northeast of England. I still associate myself like that. And I think that served me in good stead. So that and surround yourself with people who love you and care for you. Yeah.